Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Above the Bar podcast. For each week, we belly up to the bar with a new guest, find out what they do, who they are, and what makes them great. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alrighty, folks. Oh, where am I getting a second version of my show at? Wait a sec. What's going on here? Ah, I see it. It was YouTube was playing, and I didn't realize I had YouTube up. Alrighty, folks, let's try this again. Welcome to the Above the Bar podcast. It's your host, Sean. We've bellied back up to the bar. It is the 21st, 22nd? What day of the week is it? I don't know. It's a cold day of the week. We're going to go with it's a really cold day of the week, and it's the 22nd. See, I always jack this up. I should look at the date. At some point, I'll know to look at it beforehand. But that's okay, because when it's as cold as it is up here in the capital region of New York, you don't care what day it is. You just want it to be warm. And to warm us all up today with her bright and cheeriness and to explain to us about, I've got so many questions because what Jen does is work with a community that I've always found absolutely, as the names change and as we learn more about this community, it's been absolutely fascinating to me because I think, wow, I think I knew somebody like that and we never would have even referred to them as in this way. So we've got with us Jen DeGroff, and she's going to be talking to us about how fitness can help the neurodivergent community. Oh, wait.
Yeah. Thank you. Welcome, everybody.
I had to give you some applause there. They weren't working. Oh, I forgot to tell you, Jen, if I'm looking to the left, I promise you I'm not ignoring you. That's where all my notes are over there. So that's where I put my notes. I had to tell you that. So, alrighty, folks. So Jen's going to be joining us. We're going to be talking about the neurodivergent community. I have so many questions. We're going to get into that. But before we do all those things, as always, we got the big board over my right shoulder. And look, I'm going to say it once because I want to hear about it. Buffalo gave Baltimore that game 100 times for us to win, and we just kept giving it back. I don't know why. I don't know how come. If you're not watching the live and you're wondering why I'm saying it, because I'm still a diehard Ravens fan. I got my giant Ravens sticker behind me. But if you've got a sticker and you've got a cause, something you believe in, maybe you work with a community, you've created something for them. We have all the different ribbons and everything. I don't know what half of them mean anymore. But if you work with a community and you've got a sticker, or maybe you have your own podcast, a band, I don't care what it is. Reach out to me on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, because we still have TikTok, at the Above the Bar Podcast. Our website is theabovethebarpodcast.com, and our email is abovethebarpodcast@gmail.com. Reach out to me. Tell me a little bit about what you got going on. I'll tell you where to send the sticker, and I'll read about you live here on the air. It costs you nothing. Get your name out there so others can learn about you. Also, we got to talk about the folks that pay the bills around here, and that's Budget Blinds. That's Budget Blinds of East Greenbush, Hudson and Coxsackie, and Schoharie. All three of those Budget Blinds are here to take care of you. Budget Blinds is the nation's, well, actually the North America's largest window treatment company. There's 1,500 independently owned franchises across the country. They take care of everything from shutters, blinds, drapes, shades, window tint, you name it, they've got it. They'll take care of you. Always at a great price, always with a warranty that you cannot beat. Most everything they carry has a 5-year no questions asked warranty on top of their mechanical warranty. To include, they even carry a brand that has that old school, as I call it, the Sears warranty. No questions asked. Something happens to it for a lifetime of the shade. They've talked to me about it. They've replaced shades from 2007, 2009. People just call them up and say, hey, my shade broke. And all right, we'll take care of it. Let's get this taken care of. So it doesn't even cost you. It's like paying for one shade and getting two out of the deal. And this month, while you still got time, they're doing 20% off of all window treatments. And if you go ahead and order motorized, they'll do another 5% off. And if you tell them you're there to belly up to the bar, they're going to give you an additional 5% off of that sale. So make sure you're reaching out to Budget Blinds of East Greenbush, Hudson and Coxsackie, and Schoharie. All right, Jen, it's all done. How are you?
I'm doing well. I am at a school, so I have a whiteboard behind me.
She's working on her MBA. So Jen's like super smart and stuff. And those of you that are watching us live, please take time, like, share, follow all this. We got Jen's website scrolling along the bottom here, beatrueicon.com, just like it sounds. The word beatrueicon.com. So check her out there. So you work with the neurodivergent community for physical fitness. And now you have a certification also, NASM. What does that stand for? Let's start with that.
National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Okay.
So that's more of, it's like the behind the scenes, the body, all of the science part of fitness, because there's accreditations that's like, how do you train people? But then this goes into the anatomy and all of those things that you might forget from biology in high school. So that's NASM certification. I'm also working on an autism certification as well.
Oh, that's a specific. So there's a specific one for working with folks that have.
So, and it's more like different. There's different. Everyone has different physical abilities at different levels, but also maybe there's certain ways to cue, which is basically like how to describe how to do something, or maybe to repeat things, maybe not. So there's just different ways to learn more about strategies, to kind of like teachers, like just learning how to best serve different people. And maybe there's people who learn better with listening versus visually. It's just adapting and honing in on different people and their needs.
Okay. So now I'm going to ask you a question. If you don't have an answer for this one, you can tell me. I don't know. Now, is neurodivergent the same as the spectrum?
I'd say neurodivergent, I mean, it is a spectrum in itself. I think the neurodivergent community involves many different spectrums, if that makes sense. So the autism spectrum, ADHD, there's maybe people who are undiagnosed, some social anxieties, different parts of the community that I think atypical in a way that's neurotypical is maybe a way, the description. And I'm not really definitions. I'm always also trying to learn them as well. But I think the neurodivergent community, it's one that welcomes inclusion. At least that's the best way I could consider that. So it's a autism spectrum. If you know, say one person with autism, one person with autism, right. Like everybody's different. So the way one person processes things is very different. And I actually learned that I had ADHD a couple years ago, but I struggled really hard in school. And I thought that in school, everything was boring. And I used to just fall asleep and just not understand what the teacher said, because once they wrote things on the board and spoke, everything went blank. So I used to teach myself at home, and I didn't realize that this was actually a problem and not normal until afterwards, after college. And then, I work through different treatments and ways to cope with certain things. And like, I don't have to stay up till 2-3 a.m. to learn the things, when I can just maybe have a teacher record a lecture and I could read the subtitles, because audio would go over my head. So just different ways, just think about like that, and maybe more in a physical setting. And, it's a wide range of spectrums, so to speak. And I think the spectrum itself is, it's just acknowledging the fact that everybody is different. So some people might have more needs than others. Some people might be nonverbal, meaning maybe there's certain communication barriers themselves, or even there's, moments of anxiety or things that go behind the scenes that people might not think about. So it's a really, interesting, I would say community, but I think there's a shared understanding of maybe if someone, I could speak for myself, I can't speak for anyone else. Maybe if someone was always called random or always called this or that or this or that, there's a shared community to acknowledge, okay, like I'm not wrong. It's different, like it's, maybe I might have a lot of energy, but that same energy could be used to do really great things, but it might not be the most common thing.
I got you. And it's interesting you mentioned the hearing thing. I was working in a staffing position. I'll never forget a woman. She was going for a sales position, and she's like, Yeah, I found out during COVID that I'm on the autism spectrum. I'm like, what do you mean you found out? Like, because
Yeah.
look, my understanding was either nonverbal, didn't understand social cues, like those type of things. Like, because I have a few friends that actually the young man who wrote our opening music is autistic, but he's a musical savant. But she explained to me her situation was she can't hear people unless they're looking at her.
Mhm.
Like something about audio. So she's like, "Yeah, I don't hear you unless you're looking at me and I'm focused on you. I don't hear." She was so for years, people would be like, "Why did you not answer that phone?" And she'd be like, "What phone? I didn't hear a phone
Yeah.
ringing because it wasn't it like either a light wasn't there." And she's like, "Yeah, it's been now that I understand it, I'm able. Life is way easier because I can put pieces in place to it." So, so from a fitness standpoint, I guess because I think we've talked about this
Mhm.
before. What's the name of the gym there in Colony that I believe you work with them?
Yeah. Bring on the spectrum.
Right.
Yeah.
And, and my wife is actually my kids aren't on the spectrum, but my wife really liked the way it was set up for younger small children going there, and my kids have interacted at that location with other children that were much more obviously like, hey, there's something. And I'll be honest, I loved it because teaching my kids like, hey, there's other people around the world. You got to figure out how to move in all worlds if you're going to be a success.
Yes. And neurodivergent, like diverse, right? It's just so it's the whole thing is that it's so many different realms of personalities and functions and needs and same thing with Bring on the Spectrum itself. I found Bring on the Spectrum because I did Best Buddies is a local. Well, it's more wide scale too, but Best Buddies of New York. Um, they help people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So
Okay.
they have these big walks called friendship walks within probably the springtime, where it's like it's just a get together. You sometimes it's at Crossgates Mall, and they have different stations and whatnot. Just like being in the community, and it's one of the most highest energy spaces where people are just happy and there's that sense of inclusion and almost like the guard can get down of maybe like there's something called stimming, for example. It's like, say if people are nervous, they some are more obvious, or tics, for example, might be more
Okay.
obvious, but like where you could kind of let your guard down, like maybe rocking or something to self-soothe if there's anxiety, like
Oh, okay.
less judgment. So like those events have so much high energy and just happy faces. So I got to volunteer giving out food because I love food, and I'm like, okay, I get to hand out the free food. This is the best station. And then everyone, that was awesome. And then that's how I met Lisa from Bring on the Spectrum, and she talked about fitness. Then I was a trainer. I've been a trainer. I've been at Vent Fitness for I don't know, 4 or 5 years or so. I started in 2020, and I have people there on the spectrum, and that was, I guess, and not my first chance to work with the population because I
Okay.
was also a babysitter, and I didn't realize it then. But also, I had people at the time. I said, just people with special needs. I babysat just more intellectual, but I didn't think about it then. I look back and I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But it was just like, oh, they need extra help with this or that. Um, but to go back on the fitness side, I met Lisa at Bring on the Spectrum at the Best Buddies walk, and then she contacted me afterwards, maybe a year or so after, and it's like, hey, I'm doing this autism fitness program. You interested? And I was like, well, I'm really busy, but I know that I need to hear this out. So I sat in on a self defense class they have there,
Oh,
and
really?
it was really cool. And you just see the environment, and it's
Now, this
um,
was a self-defense class for people on the spectrum
well, it was I guess
or
so.
just
Bring
a
on the Spectrum.
general?
Technically, it's open for all
Yes.
abilities.
Yeah.
And
That's why I said
it
my
was
kids have been there.
just geared towards just anyone who wanted to sign up, mostly kids, like kids.
Okay.
I don't know the ages, but they had a series of 3 classes and a third party come in and do the class. And I sat in on that, and I'm like, this is really cool. Like I said, I want to do this now because, like, self-defense doesn't hurt to practice.
Not at all.
And then while I've been training other people at the gym, this is going on. Like, I have to clear my schedule. I have to do something one day to make this happen. So I chose a day. I met with Lisa, and we went over a fitness class. Like, let's try it out. 8 to 10 people. We'll charge X. We'll figure it out, see how it goes. And then it went, and it was very successful. And then eventually we added one-on-one personal training on top of the group classes. And first of all, the environment, right? You have people, again, all ages and abilities, and people who are really high functioning, it's called, like, we're fully conversational, fully in it, and others who might be nonverbal and even vision impaired or whatnot. And
Oh, wow.
they're in the class, and they respect each other, they get along. And it's, sometimes you have to build the teamwork, but it was fascinating to see the growth. And that's all of the confidence that that is why. So the confidence level, in a long story short, is why I left my full-time job.
What do you mean?
At marketing. So I was working at a local credit union, and I really liked what I did. And I was in the data side. So on my
You were at what, Sunmark, right?
Yep. I worked at Sunmark for 4 years-ish in the marketing department and then in data. And I liked that stuff. I liked the behind the scenes. And I've been honest with them too, and everything that transpired now. And I'm also finishing up my MBA last class. So I was working with one individual, actually, at Bring on the Spectrum, and I hear a lot of, I can't do this. I can't do this. I really can't. I'm not even gonna try. I'm like, let's just try. We're gonna step on a box. We were stepping on a box. I'm like, try it. I'm right here. So they step up. I'm like, okay, stand tall. So they stood tall, and then I'm like, all right, arms up, like superhero. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. They stepped down. I said, do it one more time. I said, stand at the top and pause. And they paused on top. I said, how do you feel? They say, I feel powerful. I'm like, you are powerful. And then that moment, everything changed. Because if I could help people see the thing inside of them, talking about boxes, right? Everyone is quick to put people into boxes. And a lot of times that neurodivergent community, or people say, in other words, people with special needs, or people who are trying to, in one case, fit into a world that might not be made for them in terms of learning and development and structural and social. Everyone's being put in a box, and more heavily so, you hear a lot of I can'ts, and I can't do this, and I can't do this, or you can't do this, and people start absorbing that. So if I could help people step up on a box, or step up in life and gain confidence by actually realizing what they can do, then that's game changing. I'm like,
That's
now
awesome.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like, I have to do this. So eventually, my MBA program was going on, and I talked to the people at Sunmark. I mean, I respect them. We had some great traction there.
I banked there, so I know it.
Yeah. And we had, I said, my MBA program's coming up. I'm going to try to do this full time, the MBA. And I said, I'm going to try to be more with that community, because I can't not do it. I get energy. I could go from a long day of work doing whatever, be drained, and go to a fitness class, and somehow my energy gets higher.
You get back into it.
Yeah.
That's great. Look, if you're just joining us and you've got questions for Jen, you want to know about what is fitness in the neurodivergent community, how does that work, or you want to know how her journey has gotten into, how do you end up in this place, and you have more questions, let us know. Go ahead and put it in the chat. We can read them right here live on the air. If you want to see what Jen has going on, you can go to BATrueIcon.com. just like it sounds, be a true icon. Again, I'm always going to ask for everyone to like and share and follow. Now, I got some questions here. Remember, I told you I was looking to my left because that's where all
Yeah.
my notes are and everything. Uh, I do have kind of a curiosity question. Now, this is going to be more of an old fart question because I'm always curious about these things. Growing up, the only people that were had any, like, you might run into somebody who, like, that dude takes Ritalin, and we didn't, and it wasn't never like, oh, dude, you got ADD, ADHD.
Right.
It was just like, you take Ritalin. No one thought anything of it. Um, and obviously, I'm a much older fart than you are. Now it feels like everyone has these need for a label. Like you said,
Yeah.
everybody needs to be on a box. And we're trying to put everybody in a box. But I'm always also, that makes me curious, and we might be making a little bit of a left turn here.
No, I
Don't
welcome the
don't you feel?
conversation.
Doesn't it feel like everyone wants a label to put in front of their box now, though? Because everybody's like, "Don't put me in a box. I'm not that person. I'm this." Well, didn't you just now label yourself in your own special little bright and fluffy box and put a label in it instead of being part of the mass group where we all just kind of work together and swim any way we can? How do you feel about that when you're working with these folks?
Yeah. Well, I'll first say that, I mean, I understand. I'm glad we're
Yeah,
talking about this because um, I was thinking about this today. First of all, some people identify, like, they fully embrace, like, they tell people, oh, I have autism or this or that, or person with autism. People will have different ways of classifying it themselves that they're comfortable with. Some people don't even want to address it for themselves. Some people say, because there is a stigma in some cases, like people don't want to be associated with that. Um, from my perspective too, because I mean, I grew up, I guess, I'm still in the 90s, as things were very taboo sometimes. I mean, so I have a twin brother too, and I mean, just, I don't want to go into too many details, but he knew about ADHD and other things a lot earlier than me because it was different. It was presented different. I internalize everything, so I'd be freaking out internally, and then he might show it a different way. So he might be getting support, like special time on a test that I might be struggling with and never finishing because I never said anything. So I think labels. I thought a lot about this too because um, I really found out, like, a couple years ago, and it was a whole, like, 4 hours, talk about, like, challenges with focusing, a 4 hour test where you have to do all this stuff and they ask you questions, and it's like, oh my gosh, to figure it out. I think for myself, I benefit from the label because I can help it. I know that I always thought it was anxiety, but once I figured out different parts of ADHD, anxiety is energy. And what do I have? A lot of energy. So if I could figure it out, which ties back to fitness, if I could put the energy out in a healthy way and, like, punch things, throw things on the ground, do the ropes, whatever, I'm better. It's all that energy is gone. If I don't treat that energy, okay, now it's going to affect me. I might react, or
gotcha.
might have that reaction. So I think it's in some ways it's very good because you can understand it. Because I think there's that feeling of I'm different or I'm this or that, and you just feel like something's wrong. So, like, oh, I'm not just different. This part of my brain just sometimes doesn't connect to that part of the brain, and I try to find a word, and I can't remember it. And that happens. And then
Welcome to my world.
that's just
I
my
just call it being old.
yeah, I know, but I had that since, like, 7. It's like, oh, my grandma always tell me, oh, you're too young to be old. I'm like, well, I can't remember where my phone is all most of the time. But I think the label helps because it doesn't have to. You don't have to choose to define you. Some people do. Some people embrace it because it's who they are. But at least you have the option to control it. You have the option to, oh, okay, when this happens, when the lights are really bright, when it's flickering, I get angry, or whoever, I feel this way. Sometimes people might not be able to communicate that, so there might be, like, loud reactions or whatnot because people don't know how to communicate that feeling, or or whatnot. And I've not fixed, but I've realized a lot about myself, and I was able to do so much better because of the fact that I went through this process, because I had something with, some personal medical things, and I couldn't have caffeine for a bit. It turns out caffeine was helping me focus because
Right.
it acted
Because listen, I have a son who has ADHD,
right.
and he, for the longest time, people would be like, my wife would be like, don't give him sugar at night. And at first I was like, yeah. And then we realized
It helped me
his
focus.
his body doesn't react to sugars the same way.
Yeah.
It's just the way it processes. And again, folks, if you're just joining us, if you have any questions, we're talking about how fitness helps the neurodivergent community, what it does for them. If you have any questions for Jen, please put them in the comments. We'd love to hear them. If you want to check out our website, it's BeATrueIcon.com. So staying with the fitness thing for a second. I know you. So initially it was like, hey, 10 people. We just got them in a room. We're going to see how this works. Has that changed in any way to where it's like you're building fitness programs? Because now I see in these different communities, and we've got, what is it? One more year we got a Special Olympics coming up. That's getting ready to come up. And I see things online now where, and not just, we're neurodivergent. I feel like, again, we talked about this a little bit earlier, has become kind of a blanket term for anyone in any of these things. I've seen some stuff like from a physical fitness level where like just pure jacked, like it's not like, okay, leave little Timmy over in the corner and we'll get to him when we can. Like it's changed. Have you had to build like a fitness program for anyone where you're like, okay, there are textural issues, so cold metal weights are not going to be a thing, but we need to lift something heavy. So like I've got to like pack sand into a fluffy bunny rabbit. Like I don't know, like what are some of the things you've had to do?
So everyone is different, literally. So the fitness, we still do that same one, the group class. It's on Thursdays.
Where's it at on Thursday? Say advertise it. Thursdays, what time? Where?
5:30 p.m. at Bring on the Spectrum in
the Albany Capital Region.
Capital Region, upstate New York. We still have that class, and think like movement is medicine, helps the brain. The more muscles you have, it improves brain function, cognitive function, it reduces stress. So going back just overall, like fitness in general, I think it's all part of the healthy habits of, okay, right? If I'm really stressed and I work out, I'm going to feel better. If I work out, I sleep better. If I sleep better, I wake up, I'm going to crave more healthy things, and then I'm going to have more healthy habits. So it's building one step of the piece to build the healthy habits. If I don't do that, okay, now I have a lot of energy. I take it out on my family member. I go to bed angry. I go to bed late. I wake up. What happens when you wake up? When you're stressed, when you're stressed, you crave unhealthy food because your cortisol, your stress increases.
Oh, okay.
It's a big cycle of kind of a negative loop.
I didn't know that.
Especially around the holiday time, where we have a lot of sugar, a lot of drinks. So it's a big cycle. So, and on top of that, okay, if I have a lot of energy, if I have a lot of people might have a lot of anxiety, it just, so now I go to school and I don't feel good with certain people, and, maybe I might not feel safe. So then I might react a certain way because I'm not calm, because I'm a little more stressed. And maybe I don't have the confidence because I've been told I'm XYZ, or I'm not the same as everyone else, or whatever.
Right.
The big cycle that loops down. So that thing, those are good for anybody. And if you add it to a population that especially just, needs to be heard, then it goes that much further. And need to be heard and respected. Just humans are humans, but the way people perceive different things.
Is someone cleaning the classroom?
Oh yeah, we're cleaning. We're alive.
I'm sorry about that. All I heard was I heard that.
Ruffle.
I know that sound.
Yeah.
We've all done that though.
All right. We're good. I know I have no control of this classroom. No control of the classroom. No, it's just
Look,
me. But we had
look, you're part of the Sienna cult. It's
yeah,
okay.
it's all right.
I tell
Yeah, I
everyone.
came back. Yeah, that was my undergrad.
See,
Yep.
look, folks, if you ever come to the Capital Region, there is no college that's more of a cult in the Capital Region of New York than Siena. Like they leave, they come back, they find ways to work there.
I worked there. Yeah, it's crazy.
See, did you do the polls? Where you work?
No, no, I did. I worked at the career center.
See, they have a Siena research. Like if you get phone calls that are like, "How do you feel about the election?" That's probably coming from Siena College.
They're really good studies. I mean, my brother goes to Boston University, and he's always like, "Oh, the Siena survey," and he got his PhD in biochemistry. So he's always like reading, like, that's pretty cool.
So your parents are like, listen, for sidebar, good job, DeGroff parents. Like, you're doing pretty.
My married name is my DeGroff, Di Maria.
Oh, so Di Maria is your maiden name?
Married.
I didn't know you were married. I didn't know you were married.
Yeah. Yeah, so, Jared DeGroff. He's actually in school too.
Why do I know that name, Jared DeGroff?
He was at Dick's Sporting Goods. He's around.
All right, I know that I know that name. So to Di Maria.
Yeah.
It might be last name Murphy, but grandmother's Maranto, so I can at least say it right. But you're doing a hell of a job. If you got one with a PhD, one going for an MBA, you're doing a hell of a job there. So now you're into this, but how about building those individualized programs? What kind of challenge has that been for you? Obviously you've got a fitness background, you've got the NASM certification, but what has it been like trying to build and then work on? Like, do you have a process for it?
Yeah. So for me, I mean, it's a bit of it comes natural. Like, I think I'm just a natural problem solver. So it's like, okay, we have this thing, so how to fix it. But I have a separate list or document I put on my phone for each person, as I do with training clients, and that way you could see progress. And everyone is different. I have people working with we have these sandbags. They're called sand bells, where it's how I introduce fitness to people. Especially in this community, you get to squeeze the sand and then you get to throw it on the floor. So that's one way to really appealing to anybody. And even the ropes, like you see it on TV, movies all the time, like, oh, you get to do this. See, when you go up, the rope goes up, and then you make like things like, oh, it looks like bubbles, or rope waves, and it's really just tailoring each training to the specific person. So I'll give an example. We have one person who loves Disney. So we made a Disney workout. We had Under the Sea. We did those bubble rope things, because it's a lot of especially training, especially with Brain on the Spectrum. A lot of it's going to be what interests the person and how can that be a reward to something. So like if someone really loves Disney, then we really tie back the reward to that. We have someone who loves Elvis, and he's great, but he's doing more advanced things. He's using the weights, like we have dumbbell set, so he's more advanced, doing pretty good weights there. And then we have other people who are nonverbal. So at the end, we have these different sticker things that I had. They're cute. Like, I got a bunch on my thing. It's like, this one says, "Let your dreams be your wings. Play more, fear less." Some of them are more fitness themed. So it's just what reward can we do
drive them.
Yeah, we do upside down cone bowling. So like I put the cones upside down and use the giant ball to knock down the cone. So just fun things. It's how do we get it to be fun? In the same way as when I train people at the gym, if you really hate certain exercises, there's many ways to do biceps. You don't have to just do curls. You could do other things. You could do the machines. Like, there's TRX straps. Like, there's so many ways to do it. Why do you have to do the one that you hate? Or at least all the time. You can limit
See, that's so odd to me. Like, I come from the world, 20 years in the Marine Corps. The exercise I hate, I need to do that because it hurts and I hate it. So that means it's working. So I need to do it more. So I continue to hate it, but I know it's going to just like
Yeah.
result. Like that's my
But if
mindset,
it works, it works. That works for
right?
you.
Like I have to punish myself. Like, oh, this exercise sucks and sucks royally. Like, I don't know if see this is what we called it in Marine Corps. You know what a Korean jumping jack is?
No.
So you know lunges.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what a jumping jack is, right? So imagine combining a lunge and a jumping jack. So you
Okay.
throw your arms up and your right leg goes out and your left leg goes back and then come back. They suck. They absolutely, and it's not because they're difficult. It's because I have no coordination, and I'm like trying to like, "Ah, this is
Yeah.
horrible. But I'm telling you, like, they're just brutal. So I get that. That also kind of brings me to another thing, though, is you've mentioned nonverbal a couple times.
Yeah.
And folks, if you don't know what nonverbal is, I know it sounds very simple to say, but a nonverbal person on any type of a spectrum doesn't have the verbal ability to communicate. They find other ways or they've developed other ways. When working a plan like that, they normally are going to have let me see if I remember the term right, PSA or personal aid assistant or PAS or PSA or whatever it is. I can't think of the term right now,
Yeah,
but
I'm
they
not
normally
sure
have
the exact term, but normally there's some type
there's
of worker support or
some
aid.
kind of a support.
Yeah, and it depends. I mean, everyone is different, but I have someone in class too who is vision impaired, but I
Okay.
enunciate everything. So when I describe the exercise, I say, okay, we're going to put our arms all the way up and touch them together. So I really think about um, like saying the exact words step by step, and it's I think the rule in my brain is expect the unexpected and stay open, because no way is the one way, and that is something that you know just roll with it, kind of like a live podcast. You don't know what's going to come up,
Oh,
but
I have no
just
idea.
roll with it.
Well, see, I should introduce you to my friend Cody. I think Cody would be the perfect person for what you're doing. So, and Cody, I'm going to butcher it, so be prepared. Trans and dance is what she does, and she's very into like different levels of meditation. And with your level of, as Lexi, oh Sean, roll with it. Um, Trans and dance, and she always says I say it wrong, but I'll get it right someday. But she would be the kind of person that if you worked with, like I, here we go. Oh my God, that's it is the closest I've ever been. But that's the type of thing that she works with different types of communities. Have you ever thought about with your program bringing in other people from other types of fitness that aren't your normal? Like I'm a big, and I haven't done it in over a year, almost two now, and I need to get back into it. I have back issues, but hot yoga was amazing for me. I don't know if I'd bring somebody with a sensory issue into a hot yoga class that might be like, it's 900 degrees in this room, when this may not be the best place. But yeah, see, she's
Yeah.
down with the
Well, so I mean,
collab.
some people might. I mean, they have bots. I know they have yoga. They have Zumba. They have a lot of things too. Like they had to create where people make different art pieces, or even a mural. They have Lego Club, or let me think of all the other clubs. I think they're trying to do some more now too, of just like if people has an idea and then they make it a club. But I feel like I wish I had something like this when I was younger, and I say that because you know I had so many interests, and I was just trying to force myself to fit in. But then that's kind of why be a true icon. So to me, a
Well,
true
tell us a little bit about what
yeah.
beatrueicon.com is.
So a true icon. So the saying I like to say with the company is stay true. So stay true to yourself and boldly grow. If you try to fit in, you can't necessarily just be yourself and fit in. Like you have to at one point pick your own and be comfortable with yourself. So to me, my whole life I've loved growth, personal growth, professional growth. And I think a big piece of that is just treating, like listening to everyone. I love different perspectives, and I think that's why um, I like working with different communities. It comes so natural to me. I just, okay, like this is how you learn. That's so different than what I would have even thought. And you like structure. I hate structure, but then somehow it clicks. So the whole point of that, it started with fitness and a bit of mindset of the whole confidence piece of, I call it light bulb moment. So for me, a light bulb moment is when someone realizes or does something that they said they couldn't do. And sometimes that happens, at the gym. That's happened before. Like, I won't be able to do that. Or I'm like, just try it. Or that looks hard. I'm like, just try it. You can always try something else after. But, and then I was like, oh, well, I could do that. And it's like, well, yeah. But my thing is, are you limiting yourself, or are people limiting themselves, or your business too, from a business side? Are people limiting their businesses themselves, or is the market limiting them, right? Like if I'm the one telling myself I can't do it, I'm never going to do it. If someone else, if I try it and I fail many times, okay, maybe that's not the best thing for me and I pivot. But like if I'm like, nah, I can't even do it, I'm not even going to try, that's it. I'm never going to get there. So the whole thing is just being yourself. And I think authenticity kind of is a elitist buzzword, and I'm trying to think of a different one, but just because, like, I don't know, it's just about being yourself. I've always
I'm very anti-buzzword. I'm going to let
yeah,
you know that now.
I'm anti-trend, but I don't know.
Well,
I'm not
the one that
anti-trend. I just don't care.
the one that messed me up, I'll tell you, sidebar thing here real quick. The one that messed me up for the longest time was the first time was someone was like, "So look, man, I know you want me to handle this, but I don't have the bandwidth for it." And I'm like, "What's wrong with your computer?" And they were like, "What?" I'm
My
like,
boss said that to me once. It was like, oh, you just don't have the bandwidth, because I was doing a million other things at the startup. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I
yeah.
physically can do it.
Well, for me, it was like I thought something was wrong with their computer. I'm
Yeah,
like, because that's what bandwidth was for me. And
you
I'm like,
think
something
so?
wrong with your computer or something? I'm like, what? Why can't you handle this? They're like, what? I'm
We could
like,
circle back to that one.
well, circle back. See, I can deal with circle back.
I
Like,
can't.
look, I come from a world in the Marine Corps where like we had more terms and analogies and like things of that nature. That was fine. It's the other stuff. Look, folks, we're getting close to closing the bar here soon. For those of you that are out there, if you want to know what Jen's got going on, BeATrueIcon.com. Cody, I am going to connect you with Jen. I think you two would be great. Um, if you have questions, comments, maybe you know somebody who's on some type of a neurodivergent journey. And I call it a journey only because maybe it's new to them and they didn't realize why they were the way they were. Everybody just kind of like either made comments, and now that they have this, uh, and you have questions, maybe how can I help them or how can I get involved? Please let us know what it is, and drop a comment. Cody says, my favorite quote of the day: the world will not change from the things you almost did. And I add to it, and neither will you. That is absolutely the truth right there, Cody. The world doesn't, you got to get things done. You got to make it happen. Get it done. Even if you fail, I was just really talking. I don't know. Is a 7-year-old? I guess my 7-year-old, because he doesn't have everything developed. He's neurodivergent. He's 7. He's just a pain in the ass. But we were just talking about fear. That's one of my big things I try to work with people on. Is the term is on fear. What's up, Evan? Is fear, because I'm like, you know what? People don't understand what fear is, and I wonder if you've ever used this approach, Jen. Do you know what fear really is? Do you know truly what fear is?
And then you put it like that, I don't think so. What?
Fear is you putting in your mind what you think is going to happen, not what will happen. That is the number one thing that stops us from everything. Like that person you were talking about getting on top of the box.
Yeah.
They had already put in their head, if I step on this box, this is what's going to happen. It hadn't happened yet. We hadn't been there yet. It haven't. Yeah, exactly. Here you go. False evidence appearing real.
Yeah.
That's it. Fear. False evidence appearing real. And I say this to my kids all the time when they're like, I can't handle that, or I'm scared of that. Why? It hasn't happened yet. You don't know what the results are going to be. Well, I know it's going to hurt. It may, but maybe it's a hurt that you can just move right on through. And I wonder, in a community like what you're dealing with, and as you're building the entire True Icon brand, and that's what it is. It's what you're building is a brand with True Icon. Um, is there is
I
there a
say do it afraid.
wait a sec? Isn't there another? Is there a True Icon? Oh God, I might be. I don't want to ruin nothing for you. Isn't there like a motorcycle clothing line called True Icon?
There might be. They had like there was something. I mean, I did all the searches too, but there was something that like went out of business a while ago.
Okay, good. They're out of business. Fuck them.
Yeah,
Shit.
but nothing. Nothing that I saw more relevant.
Okay.
I think there's other ones like Iconic or certain things like
I just
that.
wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure, like, oh shit, because I used to have an Icon motorcycle vest when I rode all the time. Yeah, might tickle. You never know, might tickle. So
Yeah.
what do we do? Okay, back to where I'm at because I went off on a tangent for a moment. I have that tendency.
Right.
Maybe I'm neurodivergent. Didn't even know it. We wouldn't have called it that in my day. And listen, my wife and I, we've talked about friends that we have that we've known forever, and we're like, I think, and we're like, yeah, it might be, but we just come from a generation where it wasn't a thing. Yes,
Yeah.
Cody, I have tangents. Squirrel, left turn. So where are we going with beatrueicon.com? Where are we going with this? What's our goals? How are we moving this forward? And how can everybody at the bar get involved?
Yeah. So I like to say with the mission of TrueIcon, it's empowering people to be their favorite versions. And why they're favorite and not their best, because who defines best, right? Is it my, is it your family? Is it your friends? Is it society? Like, am I or are people who they are because of what everyone else says they should be? Or is it because they really love it and they want to be? And I think I would invite you to question that, because a lot of what I do is all about growth. And if you want to truly grow, you got to find yourself. And how you're going to find yourself if you don't know yourself, because you're just trying to please everybody else. So I invite you to just really think about the things that you really like to do. Think about things that give you energy. And the whole journey of True Icon, I mean, I love doing speaking engagements and, the fitness community. You could catch me at Bring on the Spectrum. You could catch me in the community with fitness. But also, I'm launching a podcast soon, now that I am more settled into a new spot here. And it'll be the True Icon podcast when that comes out. So just, follow around. And if you have any questions, go to the website. There's a page for inclusive and adaptive fitness as well. Feel free to message or send any message there, or even just either mindset or confidence type of coaching. I'm here. I invite you to really think about the reasons why you do things, and it's never ever too late to start. And even fitness, in general, even age, it's not age. You can't always blame age for the reason for things. It's okay. Well, typically when people are older, they stop moving, So if we start moving, you can start at any
You will live
point.
longer. You
Yeah.
will live longer if you move more. I did want to tell you real quick. I don't know. Did you put your website together, or did
Yeah.
you pay somebody? You
No,
did
I
this?
did it. Yep.
Listen, folks, I'm
Me.
over on her website, TrueIcon.com or beatrueicon.com.
Yeah.
And this is a good website. It's well put together. Is that Grand Canyon or Grand Escondidan staircase?
A Grand Canyon, and
Grand
we're at
Canyon.
Sedona as well. That might be on one of the pictures.
Like great pictures, well put together. I'm impressed by that because a lot of people will be like, "Go check out my website; it's amazing." And I'm like, "Oh, did you put this together on Firefox,
Yeah.
which hasn't been in existence
Yeah.
in forever?" And it really looks like just a hot mess. Like this is a good website. So the podcast is coming. I will present myself if you need help with your podcast. and you
Yeah.
need information, please reach out and talk to us. I think my Aunt Eileen is watching us. She's amazing. Aunt Eileen, I got to talk to you about something. Remind me. Um, so we're putting all this together, and you've got on your website, you've got, how you can help people with business. You've got a marketing background. You've got the fitness coaching and the adaptive and includes fitness, some testimonials. Um, as you're moving along in this journey for yourself, though, where is our, I'm always curious of this with everybody. And Eileen, I got to talk to you about the tent. I'm failing at my grow tent. It's a whole nother thing. No, it's complete. But where do we want to take this? Where do we see this vision for beatrueicon.com? Where do we see it going?
Yeah, if I every day, what would I do that doesn't feel like work? I mean, there's definitely the fitness part of is a major part. But I think those light bulb moments, like empowering others. So you'll see a lot more speaking engagements. You'll see a lot more of that coming up. I love to hear different perspectives of people. So just at a larger scale, I help people as well with some of their businesses, some of their websites as well, in terms of, if they want to show and grow their business. But you'll see from a scaling point, more people, more workshops, more of that type of thing, more tangible results and larger speaking spots. I mean, just getting the word out to others. Businesses can help with, a key, and even presentations and businesses too, of, okay, empowering your employees. If an employee feels empowered, they're going to do a lot. They're going to step up, and helping with the safe space to do that. So, there's a lot. I also am like trying to contain myself. I'm like, okay, pick a lane. There's pages hidden for the website. They're the mindset ones that I'm like almost done, but like, how many things can you do at once? So yeah, I'm excited about it. It just feels right. And, more to come, but I think moral of the story here, especially from the fitness side too. I mean, we're living in a society, no matter like, where you live at this point, there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of to-dos. There's a lot of, unnecessary stress. It's like, well, just take a moment, and even if you have to unplug the phone or take a breath break. Sometimes I do this at class too, like, which for the first time I worked with Center of Disabilities for Camp Spectacular, which is in Glenville.
What is
And
that?
I don't want to divert too
What's
much,
camp?
but it's a
No, what's
camp
Camp
too.
Spectacular? What is that?
Camp Spectacular. It's in Glenville through the Center of Disability Services. I don't know the exact definition, but it's for people mostly more high functioning, but like you don't have to be diagnosed with anything, but if there's anxiety or energy or any of that type of thing, and it's a camp in the summer that has routine, what do you call it? Like camp basically. So it's fun, but it has structure to it. I did fitness classes there, and I had like 40 kids at a time for one session. I'm like, how am I going to do this? So the biggest thing I learned is like, okay, everyone put your arms up, take a deep breath in, deep breath out. And I got them to listen like that. And I was like, oh, we just got to regroup and we're good.
Can I give you one?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a Marine Corps way to get them all to focus. You ready? So at the beginning of all the classes, if you're in a big group like that, you give them key phrases. Because listen, Marines were very simple animals. We're very, very simple animals. So you tell them, when you say ears, they yell open. When you yell eyeballs, they have to look where you're at and they yell click. So it's ears, open, eyeballs, click. And they look where you're at so they know it's time to listen and it's time to look. Listen, you can get a platoon of 117-year-old to 20-some-year-old young men and one drill instructor to yell, ears! And they'll all yell open. And they go, eyeballs! And they'll all yell click and look where that person's at. Wow. I'm just saying, it works. And most of us are on some form of a spectrum. Why else would you be a Marine? Like, that's just who we are.
I feel like in another world I would be. I used to do gymnastics. Not like that's like the same thing, but I always
Listen to me. Hold on. Pause. I'm going
pause.
to pause you for a second. I don't normally pause people, but I will tell you right now. I put a young lady in. Her name was Jennifer. Also, I put her in the Marine Corps. This is before females had to do dead hang pull ups, which means just a
Oh yeah,
straight arm pull up. I put her in the Marine Corps. She was everything all right.
I
I need to
think
come to
so.
Sienna, do I? I don't know what's going on here.
There's a meeting in here from 9 to 10. I just need 5 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Yep. 4 minutes and 20 seconds.
4 minutes and 20 seconds.
But she could do 17 dead hang pull-ups.
Yeah, well, that's how the army called me because I did one of those
See?
contests in the beach. They're like, "Oh, you could do 15 pull-ups." I said, "Okay, I get a free T-shirt." Then they kept calling my house, like, "Is Jennifer there?" This is the army. I'm like, "I just wanted a T-shirt." So, but I think
Listen,
in
I
another
completely
world it would have. I don't know.
you'd
I
have
have.
been phenomenal. Listen, you'd have made a great officer in one of the branches of service. Before we end this, I'm going to ask one quick question. I'm going to ask a Jared question. So, you leaving your marketing role, you're a married person, you're building a life with somebody. How did Jared take it when you were like, "Hey, I love you. You're my soulmate, but I'm going to go ahead and quit my job, get my MBA, and I'm going to focus on this fitness thing with this entire niche community." How did he take that?
It was, well, I had a plan. Like I was doing this on the side,
Okay.
so I didn't start with nothing. I started with something, and it was, I guess, challenging, but eventually he knew because he's like, he knew like when I have energy and when I don't. And like I kept thinking about it all the time, and I was like, it's time. I'm like, I know. But things click too because naturally when you do that, then the garage breaks, the air conditioner breaks like the week after. So, but I think those are like, well, how bad do you want it? And it's like, well, I'll figure it out. Even if I have to like take a couple, hours here and there or something else, like I'll do what I know what that's on. I said, that's on me. Like we'll figure it out. We made a plan with,
That's awesome.
finance stuff, but I'm like, if it's not working, I'll figure it out. It's on me. And I don't want to cause more stress to you. And we don't have kids or anything right now. So it's,
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations on not having children.
Yeah.
Well, in a completely creepy way, what I want you to do when you see Jared, you give him a big hug and you say, "This is from Sean, a man
Oh,
you
boy.
don't know." And then when he's like, I'll be like, "It's okay."
It's okay.
So
He might be on soon. He's probably around the hallway because
he's probably creeping around the hallway. So anything coming up, any engagements? I mean, obviously we can see you sometimes on our hour, which I tell everybody, if you're ever curious about our hour, Jen and I do it. Denise has been on there. Karen's been on there. Prior guests. Any of those things coming up that or anywhere where you have speaking engagements where people can find you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, right now I'm posting it more on LinkedIn at the moment because that's where things have just been popping up. I think I might be speaking on like completely separate, either AI or something like that coming up. So LinkedIn, Jen DeGroff. If not Jen, it's Jennifer DeGroff. DEGROF.
I think you're Jennifer on there.
Yeah, Jennifer DeGroff. Proper. Be a TrueIcon.com. Events will pop up, but just reach out to if you need anything. Someone coming to your company, to your space, just building confidence and totally flexible. Like I mentioned, like everyone's different, every business is different, everyone has a need. So find that need and get there. So I mean, right now I'm working more one-on-one, and there'll be some new speaking things coming up, definitely, but not yet, not releasable at the moment.
Well, we'll all be looking for it. So real quick, folks, if you like what we've talked about here, make sure you give that like, follow, share, do all those kind of things. I know it sounds cliche, but it's important to all of us. It's what makes things happen. Next week on Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we always do. And Jen knows this person, Joelle. Joelle is going to be on Leiden. She's a dedicated master coach and relationship expert, works to strive for excellence, trusted guide in untangling relationships. She helps people reforge past patterns and escape self defeating cycles. So we're going to be talking about relationships, how relationships work. But like I say, oh, look at this. Who's Lisa?
Lisa from Bring on the Spectrum. Audie,
So,
yeah. Hi, Lisa.
Lisa, we love your space. My wife has been to your space with my children. They're not on the spectrum, but we love your space. It has been absolutely awesome. We love how it's put together. Hopefully, it continues to grow and become awesome. If you're in the capital region, make sure you're checking out her space. As we always say, Bring on the Spectrum. Make sure you're checking out Bring on the Spectrum. Again, like, share, follow. Now, I know I think this is episode 269. 269. We've done a lot of them. So as we do this, it's always the same thing. And I know, Jen, you've binge watched all these, and don't log off on me. We need to talk for just a moment afterwards.
Yeah.
The guest always gets the final word. So what's the final word tonight, Jen?
Oh, I think it froze. Did you ask me for my final words?
Yep. What's the final word? Frozen is our final word.
Bigger.
Alrighty, folks. Be sure to push your stool in. This has been a Second Front podcast presentation found on Apple, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found.